Hey guys, so today we're going to make a random quote generator using Clojurescript. We're going to be using the reagents, which is basically just Clojure bindings for React. And here's the finished application. If we could just press next quotes to get another random quote. And we'll also be able to tweet using the tweet button. Now, we're not going to go through the actual Twitter API. Instead, we're just going to use the custom URL that Twitter gives us that we could use to tweet things with. Before we get started, you're going to want to have Lanigan installed, as well as Node. Because we're going to generate our project using Lanigan, but we're going to use the shadow-cljs template. Now let's see, our app name is just going to be random quote, and we're going to also add the reagents package. And I think that's everything. Well, we're going to find out, so I'm going to press enter now. Yep. Alright, so now we should have a project called random quote. We'll just cd into it, and we'll open it up in Visual Studio Code. So code dot. And now I can get rid of this terminal, and we'll have a full view of VS Code. I'm just gonna make sure my font size is big enough for everyone. So 1 second. And I'm just gonna zoom in by two times. So that should be big enough for those of you on YouTube. You'll notice that there's a package.json here. And that means that we could do an npm install. And what this will do is allow us to use the scripts, which is going to allow us to use shadow-cljs. And I guess they want us to use yarn instead of npm. Well, that's okay. We're just going to use npm. And then you'll also notice that there's this shadow-cljs.eden file. And this, is there a way you could just, yeah. This is the Clojurescript version of the package.json, where we'll have our dependencies as well as all the metadata for our application. There's one thing that we're going to want to do. So I went to the shadow-cljs user guide and looking for the documentation. Since we're using VS Code, we're gonna go down to where is it? The VS Code integration. Where is it? All right, and look for Calva, and Calva needs this dependency, which is the cider and REPL dependency, and that's for being able to connect to the REPL. So we're just gonna add that dependency here, and let's see, I did the npm install, correct? All right, so all we have to do now is just run our watch script. So I'm just gonna do npm run watch, and that should bring us up the Clojurescript REPL. So I'm gonna bring this up again so that we can see what's going on. It's looking at our configuration, and oh, that is because I forgot to turn something off. 1 second. Alright, I'm back. So let's run the watch thing again. So it's going to look at our configuration in the shadow-cljs Eden file. Our server is available at localhost 8700, and then our nREPL is on port 877, and that's going to be important to connect with Calva. So first, let's go look at our app. So it was localhost at 8700. And our current app, Does not look like it's running. Status of 404. Random quote is not defined. I wonder why. Oh, it's not done compiling. That's weird. Let me just do a save. There it is, build complete. Now let's go in here, refresh, and there's our hello world. Okay, cool. And that hello world is just this component right here. It's just a div with an h1 using hello world from our app state, and an h3 that says to edit and change. Now let's use our editor and connect to the running server, and the running server is on port 8777, which is correct. And that should bring up our Calva instance. And I believe the profile we want to connect to is app, so that should be fine. Alright, let's get some more room, and let's see if this works. It's odd. Let's eval and REPL window. There it is. Okay. Why can't you do the +1? I don't know. That's fine. So the quote API that we're going to be using is Quote Gardens, which is this little website that I managed to find. And it's a Heroku app, or this is the URL that we're going to be using. And you'll notice that it's a Heroku app, so we won't run into CORS issues, and we won't have to register for an API key, which is something that I was trying to avoid when doing this application. I also forgot that we need a special Clojurescript library called CLJ-Ajax. And this is going to be allow us to fetch the data, and this is Clojurescript, right? Okay, and it's going to be this dependency. And now we will have to open up our shadow-cljs file and add it in. By doing this, we're going to have to restart our REPL though, which this is the wrong terminal. Alright. And you'll also notice that REPL is disconnected. So now we just have to restart. And that was npm run watch. And let's make sure that it builds this time. So now it's retrieving the library that we need. Dependencies have been updated, and it's still not up and running. Come on, man. There it is. Alright, so everything is back in the same thing. So we go back in here, and let's reconnect. So connect to the running REPL. There it is. App. And that'll give us the Calva integration. And we're also going to want to refresh our browser, because you'll notice down here that the connection was closed. So we need to get a fresh connection. Alright, the first thing we're going to want to do is make sure our app state atom is in the correct format that we want. So we're going to want more than just text. We're going to also want the author of the quote. So I'm going to add another key called author. And for now, I'm just going to call it Calvin, which is my name. Yay. Alright. And then we're also going to want to, this is not enough space. Alright. Let's see. We're going to want to import that that other library that we created, or that we added, which is, it's going to be called ajax.core, and we only need the get method. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is define a function, so defin, and we're just going to call it fetch link. And this is going to call our get method, followed by the string of the random quote, which is in here. Random. And then our response is going to give us this. We'll get a quote text as well as a quote author. So that should be predictable. Let's go back in here and paste that in. What button did I press for that? Alright, so the get method has a couple of, well, it has one parameter, but it's basically an object, or the hash map, to be completely correct. And it requires a function that gets the data. And for now, we're just gonna print out the data. So I'm gonna do JS console log data. And then, where's the end of the, here it is. And then an error handler, which I'm also just gonna console log, but we could destructure the keys of status and status text. And that's just to give us some more information. So, where's my cursor? And we want to be inside the function, so in here. I'm also going to use console log and status text. So we want to invoke this. So I mean, the best way to do that is just to run it, and I'm going to do it in the REPL, and hopefully this works. Alright, did it work? I don't know why it doesn't do that. Alright, you know what, screw it. I'm going to use the actual file, fetch link, and I believe it'll run the entire file, so there it is. So now we have our thing. And this is basically what happens when you console log it. So instead of using the JavaScript console log, because it's in a format that we can't really use, we're gonna use the Clojurescript println function. So I'm gonna change this to just println, and go in here and check our console, and now you'll see that it's in a format that we could actually use. It's a hash map where the keys are strings, which is kind of annoying because they're not keywords. But we get the ID, the quote text, and the quote author. We can go back in here, and instead of just printing it, let's actually set the data of our app state, which I should actually move up. So I'm going to move it up here. Let's make a new line and change the print line here to a swap function. So swap, and we're going to get it from app state, and a soak is just a function that we'll need to basically set the text property, and I do hate that. Alright, and we're just gonna get from data the property of quote author. Now we saved, which means this function is going to be invoked once again. which means we have an updated hello world. This is going to be a little annoying, so I'm going to get rid of this and attach it to a button really quick. So I'm just going to do a button, and we're just going to add an on-click handler that returns fetch link. It's also important to notice that we don't want to invoke fetch link right away. We want a function that returns fetch link. A way you can do that is just do an anonymous function that just returns the fetch link function. And then just to make sure it works, it would be nice if the button had text so we could actually see it. So after the attributes, I'm going to do click me. There it is. Now if we click it, it'll run the function, I think. I mean, it should run the function. I don't know why it's not. Oh, this is just a reference. Okay, hold on. Let's just do that. And there it is. So now our application is able to update its state. Okay, cool. We can clean this up by just getting rid of this. Because in Clojure, you can just have an anonymous function with the hash symbol, and you'll get the same results. So, boop. All right. Now we have our application. We're fetching the data. Now all we need to do is actually update our markup to have the correct structure that we want. Then we can style it right after. So instead of hello world, I'm going to actually make a new component, defen, and I'm just going to call it quote. And it's going to take an argument of state. This is to maintain purity. We want a function that actually takes an input rather than just accessing a global variable. So now we're just going to write HTML, which is not really educational, so I'm just going to write. So we're going to want a div, and inside that div, I'm going to have an h1 that says random quote generator, and underneath that we have another div, and I'm going to give it the class of quote. And let's see, I think I want two divs here, so div dot quote container, and just to give some space, div dot quote buttons. Alright, let's fill this quote container with stuff. We want a paragraph here to have the author, and this is just going to get the text from our state atom, and we're going to dereference with the @ sign, and we have another paragraph for the author, quote author. And I noticed I made a come on, this is supposed to be quote text. Actually, you know what? I'll do quote content. Alright, and then our buttons, I'm gonna have a link instead of button for the first thing. And it's gonna have an href of something. I'm gonna do a hash sign for now. And a target of blank so that it'll appear in a new tab. And it'll have the text of tweet. and that'll be our tweet button. And now we're still in this secondary div, so we can have the actual button. And this will have the onClick method, onClick of our fetch link. And let's give it a name of next quote. Alright, so the last thing we're going to need to do is actually pass it into our render component. And quotes. And this is going to give us an error if we don't also pass in the state. And state is, instead of, it's actually this. So app state is the name of the state. Where am I? Here we go. App state. And now we have our markup. So if we just click next quote, I did something wrong, didn't I? Where's the other paragraph? Quotes, paragraph, oh, what the hell? Why is there nothing here? Author, text, author. Okay, that's weird. Let's look at what's inside our app state right now. I'm gonna print line app states, and we only have one argument, which is text. That must mean that our fetch link is only setting one attribute. Oh, okay. That's an easy fix. So we'll just have to do the same thing. Author, get data, quote, author. I just realized this is supposed to be quote text. Alright. Going back. And there we go. Now we have both things. Alright, also on that note of we should always pass in a argument. Here I'm gonna pass in state and change this to state. So now that we have to pass in the state to fetch link, it's gonna give us a little squiggly line because we need to pass in the state. And I'm gonna pass it in here, even though, I'm just gonna delete the hello world because we don't need it anymore. Alright, the last thing we're gonna need to do is assign the link. Now, the Twitter link is, I'm gonna make a little function. Actually, I'm gonna call it tweet link. And yeah, let's get the state. Alright, so we want to return a string, and the prefix is going to be HTTPS content tweet equals, and it's going to be followed by the text of the state, and we'll also add a little thing so that we could not text, get the author of the state. And now in our href, we'll just change this to the tweet link and provide it the state. And we no longer need this space, so I'm going to get rid of that. And alright, so if we press tweet, we'll get the quote that was inside our state. And then if we get a new quote, and tweet, we'll get the corresponding tweet. Now the final thing that we're going to need to do is style all of this so that it actually looks nice. So, going back to our code, I actually don't need these anymore. And now things look a little better because they have space. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is go into our CSS, and that's going to live in the public folder, and open up styles.css. Alright, so let's just add some basic resets, I guess you would call it. So in the body, I'm going to have the background color to be this blue color. So 00 ACD. Let's also make sure our anchor tags don't change colors. So visited, active, focus. It's gonna be color inherits, and we're also gonna turn off text decoration. All right, so let's see what that looks like so far. So, that looks okay, I guess. All right, we're also gonna change the font family to sans serif. Get rid of those serifs. So let's look at the CSS classes that I added. So I added quote container, quote content, author, buttons. So that should be enough to go off of. So let's do our H1 first. It's gonna be color white. I'm gonna give it a margin top of 2 rem, so it's not all the way to the top. Give it a little space. And let's just get everything to align to the center. And let's give our paragraphs a couple of default styles. So I'm gonna do margin top of 0, margin bottom of half a rem. And let's see how that goes so far. So, looking a little better. Alright, so let's start doing our classes. So, the outermost container is called quote. So, quote is going to be, let's just make it 50%. And we're going to center it. And let's do the background color white. Come on. And let's see. Oh, did I not save? Alright. Let's add some padding. What am I feeling? 1 rem? Let's round the corners off. Border radius. 4 pixels. That looks about right. Did I do anything else with this? Color. That blue again. And that's for the text. Yeah, that looks about right. That's what I wanted. Okay. So next is our quote container, right? Do we need anything in our container? I mean, we already kind of did that. Let's just do the content instead. So contents. And I think all I did was just center it and make the font big. So I'm gonna go with 2 rems. And let's also do the author while we're here, since we're just styling text. text align to the right. And we'll make this a little smaller, so let's go with 1 rem. Oh, let's make it text, no, not transform. Style of, not text style, it's font style of italic. Alright, there's our little italic author. So that's so far pretty good. I'm happy with that. Alright, and then finally we need to style our buttons. So I'm going to use Flexbox. So quote buttons, display flex, and I'm just going to make them space between. And there they are, perfectly aligned. And let's do this. We want to style the anchor and the button to look the same. And let's just do this. So border solid blue, background color same blue, border radius, four pixels to match our container. We need a little bit more work. Color is white. Text transform uppercase. Font weight bold. And let's give it some padding. There we go. I'm not 100. Well, why is this bigger? Let's set the font as well. 1.5? No, too big. Just one. That's fine. Let's actually give the buttons a top margin of 5.5 rems. That looks about better, right? Next quote, tweets. Experience is simply the name we give our mistakes. Oscar Wilde. Yeah, okay. I'm happy with this. So there you have it. The random quote generator in Clojurescript. Alright. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time.